Wisconsin Sports Zone Update.
Well, the Packers are into week 2 of their offseason program up in Green Bay. Phase 3 is in a couple of weeks when OTAs begin. That will be the first time they're going to be able to do 11-on-11 work. It's something offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich looking forward to because he's got a fresh opponent on the other side and new defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon.
It's awesome. He's a super smart guy. He's got a lot of really cool ideas. So that's always great. And especially when you get into OTAs and camp, you want the people you're going against to play a lot of different looks, challenge you in a lot of different ways so that when you go out there in the season, all the stuff you're seeing really isn't new. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to be really helpful for us for sure.
Again, Packers OTAs get going here in a couple of weeks. As for Wisconsin, they're going to get their summer workouts going at the end of the month. Spring practice concluded last week with several position battles still up in the air, including backup quarterback, while Louisville transfer Deuce Adams has a slight lead on experience. QB coach Kenny Guyton says true freshman Ryan Hopkins is absolutely in the mix to win the job.
To be honest with you, I'm not into wasting reps. So if you're getting them reps with the tools, it's for a reason, you know, and everybody knows where they stand. And the kid has came in and put himself in position to do that. I know I keep saying it, but it's more of just the full package of what he brings to the table.
Wisconsin opens the season September 6th against Notre Dame at Lambeau Field.
Everyone feels confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott. Transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
The Brewers were 6-2 winners in St. Louis this afternoon, earning a split of their series with the Cardinals. Andrew Vaughn had a 3-run homer back at home on Friday against the Yankees. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
What did you see from Sproat and just how he used his stuff today?
Yeah, I think something that he's been building off of after his first 2 outings, I feel like he's trying to hone in on what he does best, and you have to get back in the counts. His stuff moves incredible. He threw a lot of balls early, but got right back into the zone. And I think once he settled in, it was, okay, I can pitch here, and I can not just pitch here, I can strike people out. So after the first couple of innings, got a couple of strikeouts in the third, also got a double play in the fourth. It's moments like that where you see the growth, and I think he grew a lot in this one. He battled adversity. Some of it was self-inflicted. There were some walks in there, but when he needed to, he got the strikeout. He got back into counts and really big hitters too. And I enjoy watching that when you see a young pitcher challenge in a moment where, hey, this could be a difference maker in the ballgame. This could be a turning point in the ballgame, and he didn't shy away. So, again, he is building off what he's done really the last 4, now 5 outings for him. He's been really good.
We're trying to uphold our standards, so we're not going to let guys just go out there and be in the learning curve. We're going to do what's right for the club, too. But I think he's learning stuff. You know, he's learning that I can do it.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Had some post-game sound from Tim Dillard describing Brandon Sproat's performance today. I think maybe some Brewers colored glasses with the way that he's breaking it down. Brandon Sproat going 4 scoreless innings, only allowing 1 hit, which I don't think it was a hit. I don't know what that score was on. That was not a double. So Brandon Sproat going 4 scoreless innings, but needed 76 pitches to do so, walked a lot of guys, had to battle really hard in the 4th, needed a double play to get out of it. A really interesting start. And I think it came at a very interesting point in Brandon Sproat's season. We talked about it on Bill's show earlier today. I've been in for Bill this week. And when we signed off at 1, I said, let's watch Brandon Sproat today, because I think if he turns in a stinker, we can make a real good case that maybe he should be sent down to AAA. I wouldn't qualify this as stinker, but it wasn't exactly a dominant start either. It only made it through 4 innings. Brewers get the win. I want to talk about the Brandon Sproat of it all. That's really all I have to say about the Brewers today. Churio had another great day. He could easily have 3 home runs so far through 2 games if the ballpark that they were playing in was slightly smaller. He's been about a foot or 2 beneath the top of the fence on a couple of these long doubles. And Andrew Vaughn hit a home run, which is a great sign. You know, not saying that he's back fully and, you know, going to hit 30 home runs this year or whatever, but when players come back from the handmade bone, that power is always a little bit of a question mark. It's only 1 or 2 games, but a positive sign. But I want to focus on the Brandon Sproat of it all. That's where we'll begin tonight. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Back at it after a 2-hour break. You're going to hear a couple conversations that I had on Bill's show earlier today. I just can't do 6 nonstop hours. I do need to replay a little bit of stuff Zach Heilprin was on earlier. We did buy or sell about the Packers and the Brewers and about the Badgers a little bit too. So you hear that segment. I love doing content with Zach. Jesse Temple will be here at 5:30, his normal Wednesday appearance. And I did talk with Ty Windisch earlier today. Now, that was before Taylor Jenkins was introduced. We didn't really talk too much about Taylor Jenkins. We talked about it a little bit, but more big picture stuff around the Bucks roster and the NBA postseason. You'll hear that in hour number 2 because at 5 o'clock, I'm going to give you some sound from Taylor Jenkins' introductory press conference. I had some strong takeaways. I think one thing was abundantly clear listening to the powers that be. John Horst, the general manager, Jimmy Haslam, who I guess is taking over as the governor or the owner or co-governor. Who cares? But he was the representing owner who spoke today. And then, of course, Taylor Jenkins as well. So I'll give you some of that audio to begin hour 2. You can call the show anytime. I'll take your call. 608-321-1670. The live stream up on the Wisco Sports Zone app. You can watch and listen always there. I identified during Bill's show earlier today, just as the Brewer game was starting, I kind of set out the parameters. I said, Brandon Sproat has made 6 starts so far this season, or had 6 appearances, let's say. Chicago in his first appearance, Kansas City, Washington, Toronto, Detroit, Arizona. And the way I saw it coming into today, out of his 6 appearances, most of them starts, but not all, I thought he had 2 satisfactory performances. I thought he had 2 performances that cut the mustard. His best performance was against Toronto, where he went into the 7th. He almost pitched 7. He pitched 6.2, 4 hits, 1 run. That's his signature start so far. Only 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Excellent, excellent, excellent start. His start after that, he went 5.1 and gave up 3 earned runs. That's pretty solid. You pitch into the 6th inning and you hold an opponent to 3 or fewer runs. That's a quality start. We'll take that. So his best start against Toronto and a very, very solid start after that at Detroit. The rest of his starts, the other 4 of his 6 appearances so far, 3 innings, 7 earned runs, 3.2 innings, 4 earned runs, 3.2 innings, 1 earned run, and 4.1 innings, 4 earned runs. So either not enough distance, too many runs, or both. And I think we're reaching the point in the season now. I think today was that point with Brandon Sproat where it's like, you either need to start turning the corner, going a little bit farther, giving up fewer runs, or maybe it's time to get a little work in AAA. He's not going into the bullpen. We talked about this with Chuck Freeman yesterday. It doesn't make sense. I don't think. I guess the Brewers could feel differently, but the way I see it, it's fairly simple. You already have Drowan, who's a converted starter, in the bullpen. Ashby and DL Hall are both longer-ish, middle-ish type relievers. You don't need another converted starter in the bullpen. And Brandon Sproat doesn't need to be, shortened up in pitching leverage. He needs to be developed as a starter. The stuff is there, even in his worst starts, maybe excluding his first start against the White Sox on the opening weekend on that Sunday. The stuff has been there. You see the makings of a really good pitcher. He just needs to continue to, learn how to pitch. It's not just about throwing really good stuff. It's about navigating from the first inning to the second, from the third to the fourth. All right, now we're in the second time through the order. How do I change up my approach? I'm losing a little bit of strength here in the 60, 70 pitch mark. How do I compensate? I'm losing my control a little bit. How do I get it back? I've pitched myself into a little bit of a corner. How do I get out of it? That's pitching. There's a difference between being a good thrower, and I think Sproat, again, in every appearance other than maybe the White Sox, has been a good thrower. You see the stuff. It's clear. He's learning how to be a pitcher. And I think about 6 or 7 starts in, today was his 7th appearance, we got to start to see a little bit of development on that front. Because the Brewers can't really afford to let you go out there and throw 3 innings and give up 5 or 6 runs. That kind of screws their ability to win on any given day. And also, Logan Henderson is just hanging out at AAA and has been really good. And Coleman Crowe came up and made a start and looked pretty darn good. And Robert Gasser is down in the minors. And Quinn Priester, they're working. I don't know when Quinn Priester, I don't know what his timeline is, but that's another guy who exists and is hanging out. They have lots of starting pitching options, especially if Brandon Woodruff isn't going to miss time. And it sounds like he had a little procedure to drain his shoulder and he's going to resume throwing this weekend. I still don't love it, but it sounds like he should be back before too long. So they don't need to replace that spot in the bullpen or in the rotation. It's kind of got to start to happen for Brandon Sproat, right? And I'm not sure that it did today. I thought today was more of the same. He struck out a lot of hitters. He pitched himself out of a jam or two, but those jams were of his own creation because he lost control and walked some guys. He completely lost it to start the fourth. Got a ground ball double play to end it. So that was nice. Had to battle and got out of it. That's great. But you get a little bit less credit battling out of it when the battle was of your own creation. When you walk the first two hitters of an inning, I'm going to give you a little bit less credit for navigating your way out of the jam, because the jam was your own creation. I really was interested to hear what Pat Murphy had to say about Spoat after the game, because I think the Brewers' perception and the Brewers' opinion of Brandon Sproat matters. You could look at today's game and say, really, really good. 4 innings of one hit ball, and really the hit was, I thought it was an error. I feel like it might be changed retroactively. I have no clue what the scorer was thinking. So really, for all intents and purposes, Brandon Sproat, 4 hitless innings, scoreless innings, 5 strikeouts, 76 pitches, and then they pulled him after 4. You could make the case, if you're optimistic, if you really like Brandon Sproat, and you've liked his progression, you like his growth, you could look at today's performance and say, that's a step in the right direction. You could draw that conclusion. You could see that in today's numbers and in today's performance. Totally. If you're more pessimistic and you're more jaded and you're more cynical, you could look at today and say, dude, how does it take 76 pitches to get through 4 innings? Dom Catronio tweeted this. I think it's a good summary of that 4th inning. Said Sproat needed 26 pitches in an inning where nothing left the infield. The inconsistency with his command is the weight he'll need to shed to be great. The big, uncompetitive misses are just too many to be efficient, but the stuff is that good. So you can look at Brandon Sproat today and say, that's more of the same. He doesn't have it. They need to replace him. Or I think you could look at the same performance and say, he's going in the right direction. He had to work through some adversity, even though it was his own creation, battled out of it, made some tough pitches, only gave up 1 hit. I mean, it's not like guys were hitting him all over the place. You could look at this positively and think of it as a step in the right direction. Really, the only opinion that matters is internally. What do the Brewers see? Here's about 2 minutes of Pat Murphy on Brandon Sproat, and God bless Kurt Hogue for asking a follow-up or two, because I think that was the big story of today's game. Sure, Churio's hitting the ball, and they scored some more runs, and Vaughn hit a homer, but the story today is Sproat goes 4 innings, didn't give up a hit, I'm going to say, for the purposes of our evaluation, but needed 76 pitches. Do the Brewers view that? Does Pat Murphy view that as a step in the right direction or a continuation of what we've seen? This is about 90 seconds of Pat Murphy in the postgame.
Sproat was very good. We know his limits. We've watched this, and a lot to be happy about with Sproat. DL Hall continues to prove that he belongs. Yeah, I don't know that I saw it different. I know this was a big situation, and sometimes, Kurt, pitching with a 4-0 lead is harder than pitching down 1. And he made some big pitches at some big times, had way too many 3-ball counts, couldn't put anybody away in terms of with off-speed stuff. But, he's getting comfortable with his 2-seamer, which is a super effective pitch. He's just not totally comfortable with it. And that's where William comes in. William, has to jockey him through some of those things and did a nice job today.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it there before a follow-up question. You can hear Murphy. There's some optimism there. There's some things we like. I think he said there's some growth there. He also says we know his limits, and maybe that means he was only going to throw 75 pitches anyways today. So maybe the Brewers, when he got through 4, the Brewers said, okay, according to our plan, you're done. Maybe that's all they wanted. Maybe that's the pitcher they consider him to be right now. Again, I think you can mostly listen to Murph and think, okay, they view today as a positive step. This isn't a performance that's going to get him sent down.
How is the development process going with him specifically? It's not a finished product.
Kurt just asking about the development process.
Yeah, at the same time, and not let him, we're trying to uphold our standards and our personal expectations, regardless of people think we're going to be in the middle of the pack or whatever. We have our own. So we're not going to let guys just go out there and be in a learning curve. We're going to do what's right for the club too. But I think he's learning stuff. He's learning, like, I can do it. I'm good enough. I don't have to be sharp. He certainly wasn't sharp today as he was last week. But that usually at that 60, 70 pitch mark, you see the stuff go down.
We seem to make a big deal of it.
There you go. That's Pat Murphy. That's all he had to say about Brandon Sproat, at least on the part of his postgame that was televised. I think they feel as though he's making progress. I bet he'll continue to make starts. I thought that maybe there was a chance today that this was a start where we needed to see a leap or some sort of jump or improvement, or he's going down because Logan Henderson is looming and Robert Gassler's down there and Coleman Crow's down there. Like, they have options. They have other guys. But just listening to Pat Murphy, I think they viewed today as a step in the right direction. I don't know if I would. It wasn't a bad start. I wonder how we feel if the Brewers don't score 4 runs in the first inning. You know what I mean? That kind of puts a certain lens over the rest of the game. I don't know that I buy into the idea that it's harder to pitch with a 4-run lead than a 1-run deficit. I don't know. Chad Patrick made it look pretty hard the other day. You know? I don't know. That's more of a baseball guy opinion. I guess I don't have any commentary on that other than I'm not really sure I buy it. 608-321-1670. Let's take a call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, this is Andy from Monarchy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Andy. What do you think?
Quick take on your statements about Sproat. I think I'm absolutely on board with him. I compare him to what Priester did last year when Priester started the season. Not so good. We stuck with him.
Yep.
And ended up having a great year. He's got the talent, and just the rotation is kind of depleted now. So I want to stick with Sproat. I have another take on something that I kind of noticed recently. We started this season after the first few weeks, stolen bases. We were killing the rest of the league in stolen bases.
Mm-hmm.
I did some digging over the last 13 games. We've stolen 5 bases. And so I don't know if I know it's kind of situational when you want to steal a base, but something I noticed, and I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive on the base path. I'd like to see it. I think it could get us some more runs, but I know I'm not in the dugout. One last take before I let you go. I've been listening to your show for about 3 years now. I'm a big fan. I don't like your intro song. I never have. I think it's getting kind of tired, and I think it needs to change. And I've got a suggestion for you.
Okay, hit me.
Sturgill Simpson has a great song. It's called "Remember to Breathe." I think it'd be a great intro to a sports radio show.
I'll write it down. I don't know that I know that one. I don't know Sturgill super well. Andy and Wanakee, that's a great call, Andy. Appreciate it. Very, very concise. You gave us a lot there. I will look into that. I've had the same intro since 2018. To be honest, I don't even think about it and notice it. It's just there. There's a lot about the show that hasn't changed in the 8 years that it's been on. I do like Sturgill. I don't know him as well as some do. That's my area, though. Like, I like Little Grateful Dead, Lil Feet. I was listening to Tony Rice earlier today. I'll check out some Sturgill Simpson. That's off Sound and Fury. Okay, I'll look into that. On stolen bases, it does feel like they've been stealing a lot less. I was just curious while you were talking, Andy. I looked it up. They're 20th and on base. I just don't know that they have as many opportunities because, some of the guys who would be stealing, like, I don't know that Hamilton's getting on as much. I don't know that Frelick is getting on. Like, some of these guys who you'd expect to get on and go, I just don't know that they're getting on. Their 20th in OPS as a team. I mean, I just don't know. Yelich is hurt. Churio has been hurt. Those are 2 of their better runners. I'm with you. I think it's situational. I think if this team kind of regains its buoyancy and its health and is back to where it's supposed to be, that they might pick that up again. I'm not sure. I guess I don't have an answer for you, but that's definitely dropped off. You're right. And on Priester, your original point, they stuck with Priester last year. I think Sproat showed better stuff than Priester has. I think Sproat's got better stuff than Priester has. I'm no pitching expert, but I think that's rather evident and obvious. So if they stuck with Priester, you're absolutely right. And I think they have more depth. I think they have more options this year. So last year, I think they maybe had to stick with Priester a little bit, although Logan Henderson was hanging out. They all wanted to retain the option of Quinn Priester last year, and a lot of us wanted Logan Henderson. I think a lot of people want Logan Henderson again this year, but Sproat's shown more for sure. You're going to have to show a little bit more growth. Can't be leaving in the 4th inning too often. Today, with an off day yesterday, and I think they might be off tomorrow before the Yankees series. A little bit unique. They had the full bullpen at their disposal. Pat Murphy probably wanted to go get Sproat after the 4th and just cut it cleanly, which I get. Let's take one more call here, and then we'll go to break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, good afternoon. It's Corey.
Good afternoon, Corey. I'm well.
Nice little succinct win for the Brewers down there. And nice little series split. Some rain-shortened series, but I'll take it. To your point, that's interesting. The fellow that called before talking about the stolen bases. I wonder if that's just how to best say it, from having an inept offense, having a bunch of quadruple A players that couldn't hit for bleep
Well,
Like,
they're bottom
guys like
third in
Greg
baseball
Jones.
and on OPS. So I just don't know how many guys are getting to first with an opportunity to steal.
Right. So that'll be as we kind of roll out through the month there, I'll be telling to see how the offense evolves, even though we have the reign of terror of Joey Ortiz and whoever they throw out at third base on the left-hand side of the infield. It feels like a black hole over there as it has last year as well. But Murphy says they're not on a learning curve, but it sure seems like they still are with Ortiz, as in learning how to hit a baseball. But sometimes here and there, I guess he'll have a shine a bright light. But and then one other thing I was going to note as well, Grant, or ask, you're talking about the special teams guy yesterday. And the main question I really want to know is, will he be the arbiter of like the Packers history and letting in the security guard to let everybody know what the Packers history is like Rich Bisaccia would do when he was still there? That's the main thing we all need to know, is whether that's going to be the of course I'm saying that tongue in cheek.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean. I think that the disposition between the two is very different. Corey, I got to run because I got to get to a break. You have an awesome night. I think the disposition between Bisaccia and this Accord guy, Accord, is very different. Southern, folksy, Bisaccia, very formal, buttoned up, straightforward. Both characters are in their own way. I think we're going to enjoy Accord's special teams pressers. I think he's going to give us a lot of good fodder for the talk show over the course of the season. I'm going to take a break. 3 minutes. We'll come back. Any more Brewers thoughts? The bottom of this hour, we're going to play buy or sell with Zach Heilprin. Taylor Jenkins was introduced today. His introductory presser between Horst, Jenkins, Haslam. Very interesting. I have one overwhelming takeaway. We'll do that at 5 o'clock, but more Brewers talk next in the meantime and more of your calls.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
But we're not going to let guys just go out there and be in a learning curve. We're going to do what's right for the club too. But I think he's learning stuff. He's learning, like, I can do it. I'm good enough. I don't have to be sharp. He certainly wasn't sharp today as he was last week. But that usually at that 60, 70 pitch mark, you see the stuff go down.
Big start for Brandon Sproat today. I had my eye all over it. I'm thinking, man, if he stinks up the joint today, you got to think long and hard about maybe a stint at AAA to help him grow and learn as a pitcher. The stuff looks great. He's got to learn how to pitch, navigate an outing. This inning to next inning. I've lost my control a little bit. I'm starting to wear down a little bit. I walked a guy. How do I pitch around this? That kind of stuff. He went 4 scoreless. He gave up 1 hit, and I don't even think it was a hit. I think the scorer biffed it. I think they were at the ice cream machine or something. But listening to Pat Murphy after the game, I think he sounds pleased. I think he thinks that there's growth there, and they're seeing what they need to see. So I think Sproat's going to stick in this rotation for a little while. Plus, with the uncertainty around Woodruff, like, if you're going to call up Logan Henderson and stick him in for Sproat, okay, well then what if Woodruff isn't healthy? So now is Sproat coming right back up, and you don't want to do that with a young player if you can avoid it. Let's take another call here. Zach Heilprin's going to join us here in a bit to play buy or sell. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grand Pine Roller, live from Boise, Idaho.
Pine Roller. Well, welcome, Pine Roller. How's Boise?
Oh, just beautiful. Saw a few waterfalls. Was out in Twin Falls, population 50,000. Saw what they call self-proclaimed Niagara Falls of the West.
Oh, you're seeing the sights out there. Have you been to Niagara Falls itself?
I have.
Does it
I will say it does live up to the name slightly. It's actually a larger drop than Niagara Falls. So kind of cool.
Next time I find myself in Idaho, it'll be on my list. Well, it's nice to hear from you. Pine Roller, as Chuck Freeman called you yesterday. Pine Roller. I don't know where that came from. That made me laugh.
Is that a derogatory term?
Yeah, I'm not even really sure. I don't even know what a cone roller is.
What is a cone roller?
What is a cone? Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it. I'm still happy for Chuck. This is a great week for him with the backup quarterback situation.
Yeah, I loved him on your show last night. Just there's few like Chuck Freeman. He's, a guy that there's not many like him that are even, around anymore, and none that are coming up behind him. So
it's sad.
Just a Wisconsin gem that we need to cherish.
Absolutely. I'm glad that he thought of himself too. I'm glad that Chuck is dialed in and still in the mode where a backup quarterback can sign with the Packers, and he thinks of himself, and that still lives in him, even though he's not doing the morning show anymore.
The cone roller, whatever he is.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Legacy. I think you got to keep Brandon Sproat in the major leagues. He's still figuring it out. He's young, but when he's on, and his stuff is pretty solid. And Garrett Mitchell's looks got him on an MLB roster. Brandon Sproat, he just looks like a baseball player. He's got to be staying on this team.
His stuff's better than Quinn Priester, who they stuck with last year. I mean, it doesn't really matter what we think. It matters what Pat Murphy and the Brewers see. And they saw today, I think, just listening to Murphy, 4 scoreless innings of essentially no-hit ball. He worked out of a jam, threw about 75 pitches. Murph said about 60 to 70 pitches. We know who he is. That's where he starts to wear down. I think today is about what they would have expected. I'm sure they would have loved to get him through 5, but with a 4-run lead and a couple off days this week, it wasn't the end of the world. I don't think they're too upset about it.
Yeah, and any chance you get to pitch DL Hall and Aaron Ashby in the same game, you kind of have to take. And I know DL Hall's kind of been a joke on this show over the years, but he's pitching really well this year.
He is. He's found a little extra velocity, too. I see the Brewers just tweeted out a graphic of Ashby and Hall. Lethal lefties. DL Hall over 17 innings pitched so far, 1.5 ERA. Aaron Ashby got his 6th win of the season today, by the way.
Ooh, I like it. I think that lethal lefties, I think that's what they're calling the new, governor candidates in the state of Wisconsin.
I could see that.
Is that right?
Yeah. Or maybe the owner of that brewery up north. Yeah, there's lots of lethal lefties. Someone alert the Secret Service, the lethal lefties. Anything else, Pine, before I let you go?
Pine roller.
I like the first caller with the new show music. Remember to Breathe is a great song, gets you pumped up. Best Clockmaker on Mars could also be a good one. So anything off Sound and Fury is really going to get the people fired up for the Wisco Sports Show.
I would agree with all this, Cone. I appreciate the call. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Chuck Freeman's favorite Twitter account, Pine Roller.
Pine Roller.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Chuck. I listened to that Sturgill song over the break. That would be a great intro song.
The Cone Roller, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah. I like the song, what is it? If Tomorrow Never Comes. So sad, though. So I always feel, when I listen to that, I'm like, oh. That and I Don't Mind, the bluegrass version. I ebb and flow. I was in Viroqua and Coon Valley and Chaseburg and that neck of the woods. I was doing some fly fishing on Sunday. I always like to listen to either Grateful Dead or bluegrass, one of the two. I was listening to a lot of bluegrass. Tony Rice, it's the same thing. Like bluegrass, there's a thing there. I don't know if it's the little mandolin or what it is, and it's just a certain thing that scratches a different part of your brain. And Sturgill's Cutting Grass album, it has that. I don't know that I'm redoing the intro anytime soon. I do like mixing in new songs here and there, rotating. Not crazy. We're not throwing in 100 new ones a week. Because I believe it. You have to have songs that are, you recognize that as a Wisco Sports Show song. So you got to ebb and flow and usher new ones in and replace them slowly.
What is a Cone Roller?
I don't know. They're like icebergs, bumper songs are, I think. Maybe I'll listen to some Sturgill tonight.
Pine Roller.
Pine Roller, correct, Chuck. When we come back, I want to play a little buy or sell with Zach Heilprin at 5 o'clock. We can react to the introductory press conference from Taylor Jenkins today. I think there's one big, fat, overwhelming takeaway from what Horst, Jenkins, and Haslam had to say. We'll get to that at 5 o'clock. Zach Heilprin will join us next.
What is a Cone Roller?
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, welcome back. Jesse Temple, an hour from now. Ty Windisch going to join us about 5:15, 5:20. Top of the hour, we'll react to some sound Taylor Jenkins introduced today in Milwaukee. I had one very strong takeaway from the proceedings. We'll get to that. Zach Heilprin going to play buy or sell with us here in just a minute or two. But I want to talk with Mad Max, who's joining us. Called in over the break from the Racine Tunnels. Mad Max, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, so I saw a crazy stat after the Brewers game today. It said, I think David Gasper tweeted it out, the last 2 games with Vaughn and Churio back, they're combined 7 for 16. And prior to that, the combination of Blake Perkins and Greg Jones were 7 for 67. I saw it on my timeline. I think I already made it into the Brewers chat, but that's just, but that's just, today felt like the first real game of the year, honestly. It's just like, this is what we thought this team was going to be. This is what it should be. This is the kind of baseball we're used to for the past couple of years. So that is refreshing. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of Blake Perkins. He somehow just always seems to survive. He'll survive the zombie apocalypse once the cabal brings that on us. But
the hantavirus as well.
I think we've probably seen the rest of Greg Jones, but yeah, Blake Perkins will somehow escape the smart city in Racine when we're all in prison there.
Are they going to protect us from this hantavirus outbreak in Racine if we all get there?
Yeah, I don't know what to think about that yet. I tend to think it's going to be. I tend to think COVID was just a test run for that. So I think they're trying to make it bigger, but just hopefully that it's not. Hopefully it just stays confined on that cruise ship and it doesn't get out of control. But yeah, I'm not ready to talk about that yet. Okay, I'm not too informed yet. But one thing I did want to mention that I was mentioning yesterday in the show about that band Goose that you said was supposedly a psyop.
Yeah, Geese.
Geese. Okay. I might have been looking at the wrong thing then because I was listening to this band Goose. So all right,
I like Goose.
I'll have to,
Goose is pretty good.
I was going to say, because I was listening to them and that sounded sort of like a Grant band. So
yeah,
I could see you liking them, but yeah, I think I'll have to check out this Geese then.
I haven't listened to Geese. They remind me of Jelly Roll, where I see them everywhere, but the next time I hear it organically in real life will be the first. You know what I mean?
It's sort of like the Savannah Bananas. I don't know anybody in real life who's a fan of the Savannah Bananas, but they're everywhere. They're being broadcast on ESPN now. There's all these clips where they're selling out stadiums like 100,000 people, and the fanfare is just insane. There's some sort of psyop going on there, and I know they're coming to Milwaukee in early June, I believe, and I think I might have to make an undercover mission there to investigate the PSYOP and see what's going on with Savannah Bananas.
They should play at the Dockhound Stadium, a more intimate setting.
They actually played at the Milkmen Stadium a few years ago in Franklin before they started to become big. But
I love how we're talking about them like they're a band. Yeah, they played at the Rock in Franklin.
Yeah, I don't really get the appeal. I can see why it's a fun, family-friendly thing that might be entertaining to kids, but it's just weird to me that there's grown adults without kids who are getting super into it. Sort of like Disney adults. I mean, those people are kind of, they're a little. I'm skeptical of those people. Let's just say.
I am skeptical of those people too. I think both. Mad Max, I appreciate it. You have a good night. Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Grant.
I think both with the Savannah Bananas and Jelly Roll specifically, it's just the South, and I think we underrate the differences in taste and sensibilities. Now, the Savannah Bananas would be a nice family-friendly thing for folks in Milwaukee to do when they arrive. I don't know what else folks are supposed to do. I know they're closing the food truck, so I don't know possibly what anyone would do after 6 p.m. in the city of Milwaukee. Zach Heilprin joined me on Bill's show earlier today to play a little buy or sell. I love buy or sell. Here's that conversation in that segment with Zach.
In the world of sports, a lot of people say a lot of things.
I think Malik Willis is a superstar.
Out of my left eye, I can't see.
Treat an umpire like your sister just brought over a date from the prom. He's got a job to do, and you got a job to do.
But what passes the big unit test? It's time for Buy or Sell on the Bill Michaels Show.
That's my favorite music.
The NFL films?
Well, it's NFL films, but it's really NFL prime time. Yes.
Let's start with the Badgers one. Do you mind?
Cool.
We'll stick with the topic.
Yeah.
Zach, I don't have to break this news to you, but just to set up the topic, the Badgers have had a lot of quarterback injuries the last few years.
What?
To varying degrees. However, I keep hearing a lot of praise and undulation for this Ryan Hopkins fella throughout spring ball, all 15 practices so far this year. So buy or sell. Wisconsin football is better prepared this year than any of Luke Fickell's season so far to absorb an injury to their starting quarterback.
I'm going to buy that.
Yes.
I'm going to buy that. What Ryan Hopkins did, assuming he wins the job, he's still in a battle for the backup job with Deuce Adams, who comes over from Syracuse. Now, I thought last year they'd be in an okay spot. Danny O'Neal started 12 games as a true freshman out at San Diego State.
He had moxie.
He had moxie. He was fine against the non-conference schools, not so great against the conference schools. So that wasn't great. But what I've seen from Ryan Hopkins, and this is not saying a ton as we talked about last week, but he's by far the best true freshman quarterback I've seen in a spring practice for Wisconsin. Graham Mertz, Jack Cohn, then a whole bunch of nobodies that have been there before. He's got the arm. He's got some mobility. Nothing seems to faze him, like even pressure, like guys in his face doesn't seem to bother him. So he is so far ahead of where any other true freshman quarterback is that if Colton Joseph goes down this fall, I think based on a wide availability of practice video that we've gotten to see, or not even practice video, but practice snaps we've gotten to see from Ryan Hopkins, that he could step in and be a better backup quarterback than they've had these last few years.
Secondarily, and I asked Jesse about this in the first hour of the show, I hope the coaching staff and the trainers have done a little soul searching this offseason and said, okay, how can we better protect our starter? Some of it's fluky. Some of it's bad luck for sure. Of course, some of the quarterback injuries.
It's all fluky.
I don't believe that. I don't think 4 starting quarterbacks in 4 years getting hurt, or 3 in 3 years.
What do you mean? Tanner Mordecai hit his hand on a helmet.
I know, and that's what Jesse said.
Tyler Van Dyke tore his ACL.
I am accepting that sometimes there's nothing that can be done.
You had injury-prone quarterbacks, and you brought them to Wisconsin.
I hope they spent a weekend this offseason just kicking around different things.
If it was soft tissue stuff, I would agree.
Okay. Player acquisition, you're absolutely right. You're identifying players that aren't in the portal, hopefully because they've been hurt.
Yeah, and both Tyler Van Dyke, significant injury history. Billy Edwards, significant injury history.
But not Colton Joseph.
Colton Joseph, no significant injury history. Right. And neither did Tanner Mordecai.
All right, we're going to proceed to the Packers portion of buy or sell. I have 2 Packers questions. Both are about the draft. So for this first question, I only want to focus on the first 5 picks. Let's set the kicker to the side, okay? Mm-hmm. So the Packers drafted 2 defensive linemen, 2 corners, and an interior offensive lineman. A center, but it seems like maybe he could play guard. Zach, buy or sell? The Packers don't necessarily need for any of these guys to step up and be starters in year one for the team to perform at a higher level and advance farther into the postseason than they have the last 2 years.
As Sell could be.
Really, these guys need to be good.
Do you say all of them or one of them?
Just one. I'm saying if none of them were starters, the team could still be really good.
No.
They don't. No.
I'm strictly.
That would be Sell, actually.
I said Sell. Biggest Sell of all time. And you're like, what? No, because I think Brandon Cisse has to play. I think he has to be a guy that is, I mean, the nickel is the base defense, right? So you're going to have 5 DBs on the field at all times. Now they can play Javon Bullard in the nickel, but maybe Keyshawn Nixon isn't there. Maybe Brandon Cisse is better than Carrington Valentine, and you get him in there and play, because I don't think you can go deeper to the playoffs with Keyshawn Nixon and Valentine being your 2 corners.
Well, that's the question, right? Or that's the spirit of the question.
So, yes, I think Brandon Cisse has to hit the ground running and be a guy at some point this year is a starter. Because you didn't say it has to be a starter the entire year, right? Just has to be a starter at some point.
You could figure it out in November, December.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, yes, that is a sell. Corners still their biggest question.
Interesting.
Do you disagree? You go offensive line as well, but I don't think Jagger is going to step into a starting spot this year, and maybe Dennis Sutton's not going to step into a starting spot. So
more of a rotational type of position, anyways. Yeah,
and I don't think defensive line either. McClellan's not. I don't think that's going to happen with him either.
Now you're talking about corner being their biggest weakness or biggest question mark. I don't think their corners are great, but I understood it last season, I think, in a way that a lot of our listeners didn't, where it's like, well, they have baller safeties, and the pass rush is supposed to kick ass, and Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker are about as good as you could hope for in those spots. If the rest of the defense goes according to plan, I think Nixon and Valentine are mostly fine. You need more bodies, you need more depth, which is what this draft to me signified. But I don't know that they needed a shutdown corner for the defense to be good last year.
I believe, what did Micah Parsons say? I turn the corners into all pros.
Well, the ones that can catch, which maybe is the problem, is that they didn't have any ball skills.
Yeah.
Carrington Valentine has no ball skills and also can't tackle, so I'm not really sure. To me,
but they're fine with him. They're just fine with him.
I'll stop one step short of where you are on the corner. I think if Cisse and what's the other guy, Dominique, whatever.
Jackson.
Damani Jackson, if they really push Nixon and Valentine perform well enough to remain the starters, then I think the goal for this year so far in this draft has been accomplished. But if those guys start cocking off and committing dumb penalties, or Carrington Valentine looks like he's disinterested in playing football like he did against the Ravens, you need to have an option. You need to have somebody else. Last year they didn't, and now they do, hypothetically.
I mean, corners that's what they do, cock off. That's who they are.
Yeah, but
them and wide receivers are both the same way.
But not constantly in a way that cost the team 15 yards in division games or playoff games.
Yeah, that's accurate.
You need to walk that
line.
No,
that's accurate.
All right, let's discuss the kicker. Years following their selection of Anders Carlson, the Packers have drafted Trey Smack in the 6th round, but they used 2 other draft picks to move up and get him. So it's not a nothing investment. It's not a flyer at the end of the draft. Buy or sell. Yes, the Anders Carlson pick didn't work, but you got to keep trying. And you have no problem with how Brian Gutekunst handled this kicker addition.
He said you got to keep trying. I agree with that.
I do as well.
So that is I'm a buy guy there for sure.
Okay.
I think he handled it appropriately. Now, giving Brandon McManus a 3-year whatever extension was that last offseason, he's fine in the regular season. He's fine. He's 1 for 4 in the playoffs last 2 years, and it cost them in both of those games.
Agreed.
So I'm not going to say he cost them the game against Chicago.
They should have been able to win without, with Brandon McManus.
Don't give up 25 points in the 4th quarter in a playoff game.
Jeff Hafley.
Yeah, just don't do it. But that said, make your field goals, make your extra points, and let's not have to worry about that. That is, you should be able to count on that. It's the NFL.
I agree.
They're better kickers now than ever before.
Agreed.
And you have a guy who can't make it in the postseason. I'm not saying Trey Smack is going to make it in the postseason, but you have to continue to try and push your kicking because you need one. It's been evident in the playoffs the last 2 years.
And you're okay with the drafting of the kicker. A lot of people never draft kickers.
I mean, it was the only one that was taken, right?
I believe so.
You want to guarantee yourself a guy. Drafting a kicker doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be any good, but I think they give him a shot. I think he ends up being the guy.
Well, I think that's what
when you draft somebody, you have to get.
Yeah. Well, and I think Matt Schneidman's question after the draft to Gutekunst was, how do you ensure you're not slanting the kicking competition in training camp towards the guy you just drafted? And to me, it's it is slanted. You know what I mean? Like they are going to want this guy in every possible way to beat out McManus. Like it's already slanted. It's slanted the day he arrives in camp. And it should be because McManus hasn't been good enough.
What's funny is Ron Wolf did the exact same thing in the 90s when Chris Jackie left. They took a guy in the third round, Brett Conway.
Mm-hmm.
He's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Got hurt, was horrible. They went with the undrafted free agent kicker that they got instead. His name was Ryan Longwell.
Mm-hmm.
So Ron Wolf was not afraid to accept and say that I made a mistake and be done with it. I think this is a little bit of a different situation because he's a 6th-round draft pick. You wouldn't necessarily have to make, oh yeah, I screwed this up, or Brandon McManus is awesome. But I don't care what Brandon McManus does in August or September or October. What does he do in January? That's hurt them.
I would tend to agree. I also think they could have used maybe another running back in the 7th round. Like I would have loved one of those 7th round picks just to sprinkle an alignment, just a sprinkle pick. So that's not nothing to me.
So you wouldn't have moved up then?
I'm just presenting both sides of it.
Yeah,
I don't think I have a strong opinion one way or another. But my issue is when people call in and say, well, they're just 7s anyways. What does it matter? It's like, well, but then when they biff on a 1st round pick, you're the first to call in and say, but they got Donald Driver in the 7th. Who knows? It's like, well, so we can't have it both ways on the 6th and 7th round picks.
For sure.
One more. This is baseball. I know you're not the world's biggest baseball fan. Just try to put on a baseball hat and think of this in the mindset of a baseball fan. Okay. Jackson Chourio missed the first 5 weeks of the season or so after breaking his hand while playing in the World Baseball Classic. Angel Zerpa is going to have UCL reconstruction, Tommy John, because in my opinion, and for the purposes of the question, pitched too much, too often, too soon in the World Baseball Classic for Venezuela. Buy or sell, I don't care about the World Baseball Classic. And it's ridiculous that the Brewers season has been harmed to this degree for the sake of a fake baseball tournament.
I absolutely buy that.
I figured you would.
I absolutely do.
you don't care about the real baseball games some days.
Speaking of things that I don't care about, the World Baseball Classic would be near the top of the list.
Yeah.
It's manufactured, right? Like it did exist and it just doesn't mean anything. For me, I know it meant it was really, the games were fun and all that good stuff. But
it's good television inventory,
I guess, for people that want to watch baseball in March. Yeah.
You're the perfect person to ask this question.
Right. For me, March is about basketball. It's about college basketball. It's all that matters in March.
I agree.
We shouldn't be worried about, especially if it's going to impact your regular season.
It was great buy or sell, Zach. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
That was worth the wait.
I appreciate you for inviting me in and allowing me to do it.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. Appreciate Zach doing that earlier with me on Bill's show. Buy or sell, always fun. Zach is a great panelist, and I knew he wouldn't miss an opportunity to dunk on baseball and call it worthless, which is what I believe now about the World Baseball Classic. What that event did to my sweet Jackson Churio and our sweet Angel Zerpa. Got time for a call here. Got to be quick. Got about 2 minutes. 608-321-1670. Then we're going to hit the Bucks. Top of the hour. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. You got your Maytag man.
Maytag man. Zach, how are you?
Doing well, Grant. Hey, so the World Baseball Classic's an interesting topic because the World Baseball Classic was created in response to the IOC dropping baseball from the Olympics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when are the Olympics held? Now, obviously not this year, but in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to have the Major League Baseball players participate, they would either A, not be playing in August,
mm-hmm.
which is playoff stretch, right? So, the World Baseball Classic did it for that reason. I mean, imagine if Jackson Churio or Major League Baseball decided, oh, we're going to have baseball in the Olympics again, or the IOC says we're going to have baseball in the Olympics again, and Major League Baseball is like, yeah, sure, go ahead, have the players play, and Churio gets a broken hand on August 9th. In the middle of a playoff hunt. I mean, that's your other option, right? I mean,
or just no international baseball. I'll be honest. I don't know that I have an appetite for international baseball. It's just not a sport that I view that way. Does that make sense? It's matter of personal taste. That's just my opinion. You don't have to agree.
No, I completely understand. I like it only because it's a showcase of a lot of players that you don't really know, and it's really nice because a lot of these guys came up playing together, especially in Venezuela or, in the Dominican Republic. These guys have played with each other, before they made Major League Baseball. So, I mean, it's kind of a pride thing for them. And I think that's why a lot of the Major League Baseball players and why a lot of the international players love it so much. Now, the weird thing is when you get like guys who are they're third generation Americans, but their great grandparents are from Italy, like Mike Piazza way back when. Oh, hey, I can play for Italy. That gets kind of weird, but
it does.
Outside of that, I think it's a fantastic product.
It's fine. Look, we can disagree. I don't think it's a fantastic product. Appreciate it, Zach. Got to run because the guys aren't ramped up yet. The Major League Baseball players aren't ramped up. They're not ready to go. The arms aren't ramped up. The teams are keeping a close watch on all of them. It's the timing of it. Yeah, it'd be great if the Olympics were in the middle and not August. Still have a 2-month buffer until the postseason starts. It's a matter of personal taste. We don't need to belabor it. It's a good counter argument, Zach. Appreciate it. 2-minute update from Zach, then we're going to react to Taylor Jenkins' intro presser next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Bucks co-owner Jimmy Haslam is expecting a resolution to whether Giannis Antetokounmpo will be traded or still with the franchise before the NBA draft takes place at the end of June. That was the message from Haslam today following the Bucks' introduction of new coach Taylor Jenkins in Milwaukee.
I just think before the draft is a natural time, right? Because you're going to if Giannis does play somewhere else, then we ought to get a lot of assets, and that's John's job to do it. If he's here, then you build the team differently. So, and I think that's also necessary. I just want to stress, though, that our relationship with him, despite what is reported by certain ESPN writers, is very positive.
Haslam went on to say they told Jenkins they weren't sure if Giannis would still be with the organization and not to base his decision on that. For his part, Jenkins has spoken with Giannis, but GM John Horst said that did not happen prior to his hiring. Turn to the Brewers. They were 6-2 winners in St. Louis this afternoon to split their series. Milwaukee scored 4 in the first inning, including an Andrew Vaughn 3-run homer. Starter Brandon Sproat got through 4 innings, while Aaron Ashby got the win with a pair of scoreless innings to improve to 6-0 on the year. Milwaukee will get tomorrow off before they welcome the Yankees to town for a weekend series starting on Friday at American Family Field.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, the Packers going through phase 2 of their offseason program this week. They'll hit phase 3 coming up here in a couple of weeks when they begin OTAs. The entire offseason program voluntary outside of a mini camp in the second week of June. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
We're trying to uphold our standards, so we're not going to let guys just go out there and be in a learning curve. We're going to do what's right for the club too. But I think he's learning stuff. He's learning like I can do it.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, that's Pat Murphy talking about Brandon Sproat's appearance earlier today. I thought today was a big game for him. This is his 7th appearance. I think 4 of his 6 up until this point had been non-starters, not acceptable. 3 innings, less than 4 innings, 3, 4, 5 earned runs, just not cutting the mustard. Today wasn't awful, but I think was a continuation of some of his struggles. This was one of his better shorter starts. 4 innings, no runs, really no hits. I think the official score botched that ball in was it the bottom of the first or bottom of the second? I think it was bottom of the first. David Hamilton booted that. That's not a hit. So I think based on what Pat Murphy had to say after the game, and we reacted to this back at 4 o'clock to begin hour number 1, they're happy with today. They view it as progress. Okay, that's their point of view. I don't think Brandon Sproat's going to be going down. I thought if he really stunk up the joint today, maybe there's a conversation to be had that the team would be better off and Brandon Sproat would be better off if he was in AAA making starts down there. Maybe Henderson comes up or somebody else. After listening to Murphy after the game, wouldn't bet on it. The Wisco Sports Show presented tonight by La Crosse Beer House. Be a great weekend. Again, last weekend was beautiful over there in La Crosse, the Cooley region. I was over there, played a couple gigs, kicked around, did some fishing. 3rd Street this time of year, they roll those big windows open. The breeze is blowing through, big mug of German beer. And I know that some of you around the state of Wisconsin listening on some of our other affiliates, or maybe you're live streaming on the Wisco Sports Zone app. I know that in the weeks to come, we got to go help little Jimmy or little Jasmine move from their dorm into their apartment. We got to go help little Jacob, little Jerry move from the house to the thing, or maybe we got to go to La Crosse, state track, DC Everest. Our 4x1 relay team is going to be competing. Well, while you're there, just make a mental note, stop into La Crosse Beer House, corner of 3rd and Pearl. Now, Mom and Dad, you can have a beer. You've earned it. That's a long day. Helping your kid move or watching, track and field out in the sun. Get the kids a delicious appetizer, a soft pretzel, a fish fry, maybe on Friday night, a state track. One of the cooler events in the state of Wisconsin. So just remember, whether you're a listener on WK2I in La Crosse or whether you're somewhere else around the state, next time you're down there, would appreciate you supporting La Crosse Beer House as a thank you for their support of the show, longtime support of the show. Taylor Jenkins was introduced today, and I had one big picture takeaway from the press conference, and in order to build up to that big picture takeaway, I'm going to play you some sound. I have the opening statement of Jimmy Haslam, of John Horst, and of Taylor Jenkins. I find that Jimmy Haslam's comments today were the most honest, which isn't surprising at all. General managers are probably the most media savvy of all of the personnel members in professional sports organizations to speak. Coaches probably right behind. The owner, I'll fire from the hip a little bit. The owner will give you some good stuff, especially if it's an older, richer person like Jerry Jones or Jimmy Haslam, who's completely detached from reality. I mean, they're operating on another plane than the rest of us. Here's Jimmy Haslam's opening statement. He was the first to speak, then John Horst, then Taylor Jenkins. Here's Jimmy Haslam.
I will be honest with you. We knew who we wanted to hire as our coach, okay? And it was Taylor Jenkins. And you say, well, how do you know that? And sometimes luck and skill. And John, Wes, and myself, John certainly more than Wes and I, know a lot of people around the NBA. And every reference was outstanding, and I'll come back to that. And some of you may know this. You can probably tell by my voice. I'm from Tennessee, and I live in Knoxville. The other state is Memphis, and have lots of good friends in Memphis. And called about 3 or 4 of them confidentially. I knew it could take. They couldn't. They're not opining on his basketball expertise, but to a man, everyone and said he's one of the best guys you'll ever meet. And so when you take the basketball act character, it was a no-brainer for us to really after him hard. Chantel, his wife, was nice enough to let us come by his house for about 6 hours. She invited us for breakfast. We stayed, and John stayed for dinner. So. But it was a great day, and I'm going to turn over to John, but I will tell you this. What you're getting here is a really high-character guy, smart guy, knows basketball, has a reputation for being a great defensive coach, but also for developing players. He is competitive as heck. I can tell you that by the time I've spent with him. And I won't guarantee we'll win every game, we won't, but I promise you this, when you leave that night, you won't be disappointed in our effort. And these guys down here and other guys will play really hard. So I'm going to turn over to John to officially introduce Taylor, but the ownership group could not be any prouder or happier that we're able to get Taylor to be the next coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. So thank you all for coming, and John Horst.
All right, so that's Jimmy Haslam. He's about 15 years and a few bourbons short of Jerry Jones. I mean, we stopped by his house, and I called around to a man. Everyone just said they loved him something fierce. It's like, okay. It's something about these owners. I just can't stand listening to him speak. He, later in this press conference, was asked about something about Giannis. I don't know. It might come up here. I can't remember what question and answer it was, but he was like, hey, you're telling me I was at the NFL meetings in Phoenix. Everyone was asking me about Giannis. I said, hey, aren't we here to talk about football? It's like, sports owners are some of the grossest people. And for as much as you people complain about Mark Attanasio, he is way more palatable than somebody like that or someone like Jerry Jones. And maybe that's because he's significantly less wealthy. I'm sorry. I'm not pocket watching our owners, but Mark Attanasio is much, much closer to being someone like you and me than he is, the richest of the rich. Here's a question to John Horst. Did you involve Giannis in the process? Did Giannis meet with Coach Taylor Jenkins before the hire?
No, Eric, every situation is different. And for us, it's really important. This is about building the culture, the identity of the team. I think, Jimmy articulated it well. Hopefully I did. It was clear to us in who that we need to hire to have as a partner with our organization going forward to build sustainable success for years to come in Milwaukee. And this situation, it wasn't about Giannis or not Giannis, none of the players. In years past, we talked to a lot of the players and seek counsel, and sometimes that was right, sometimes it was wrong. This was about hiring Taylor Jenkins. We had a list. It was a tight list of candidates. We vetted it. And when our first step of our process was engage Taylor, let's see where that goes. And it ended up with us hiring him, and that's where we are today.
So they did not involve Giannis. Did you hear how quickly he said that and then instantly moved on?
No, Eric, every situation is different.
Did you meet with Giannis?
No, Eric, every situation.
No, we didn't. Eric, every situation is different. You see how quickly he just blasted right by that? That's the theme in this press conference. Let me give you a little bit more audio. I'm just going to connect some themes here. This for John Horst. Communication. You're going to hear the question in here, but this is about communication before the draft.
As big of a day as this is for the organization, we know that the saga is still going to follow this
I think this is Lori Nickel, by the way. I could be wrong, but shout out Lori Nickel. She actually has some really good questions.
Organization with Giannis and those questions. He's expressed many times how important communication is to him. And in fact, that was mentioned in the press release. But I wondered what communication was to you, what that looks like, good communication, and if it's different here than the other team that you manage.
Yeah, I would say this, that
which, by the way, So I realized in the labeling of these cuts, I always use initials. So I have JH, 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 and I was looking for this cut. I should have realized earlier today, John Horst and Jimmy Haslam are both JH. When Lori asked this question, said, actually, Jimmy, this one is for you. I said, yes, ask the old owner. Don't fire questions at John Horst or Taylor Jenkins. They're not going to give you anything. Ask the old owner who's like 20% mentally out to lunch. You'll get something from the crazy old owner. So I was glad when Lori started at Jimmy, this one's actually for you, which when I started, I because the initials are JH, I thought this was maybe Horst. I love that Lori Nichols said, Jimmy, you know what? I actually want to hear from you on this one.
But I wondered what communication was to you, what that looks like, good communication, and if it's different here than the other team that you manage.
Yeah, I would say this, that communications are complicated at times because you have agents involved, you have all the press involved, and you have the player involved. We never had any problem communicating directly with Giannis at all, and always knew where he stood, and I think he always knew where we stood. We've had those kind of conversations since the season was over, and like I said, the draft's June 23rd and 24th, so sometime over the next 6 or 7 weeks, we'll decide whether Giannis is going to sign a max contract and stay with us, or he's going to play somewhere else. And John and Taylor, and along with Wes and myself, will make that call, and we understand the gravity of that call.
God, he sounds just like friggin' Jerry Jones, these old bags. One more. Taylor Jenkins, do you need to know Giannis's plans before the draft? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we have big important decisions as a team and organization over the course of the summer. We're going to have great dialogue with all of our players, Giannis included. But that's the belief and trust I have with this group right here. I know the belief and trust that they have in me, that we're going to have those appropriate conversations and navigate important decisions for not just now, but the future. When we talk about sustainable success, I mean, this organization has had so much success for a long period of time. And I know this season was one that everyone's ready to, come from and get right back to it. I'm competitive by nature. Our impact on winning daily is going to be a focus of ours. And we know these important decisions are going to drive that, not just from our roster, but also the coaching staff and just our process and day-to-day operations. So that's the stuff we're going to dive into. And we're already doing that so far.
So in this answer, I noticed he mentioned Giannis briefly, quickly steered it away from Giannis. Said, look, this place has sustained success for a long time. Going back almost a decade now. And this is something that I heard in John Horst's opening statement too. I'm just going to play this until you hear that. And then I'm going to give you my conclusion after, hearing a couple of these comments from all the parties involved.
For us, first of all, I'm thrilled to partner with someone like this as a professional. As Jimmy talked about, the intellect, the competitiveness, the detail orientation. I had the opportunity to work with Taylor, obviously, years ago. And I've never been around someone who cares more about details and operation and process than Taylor. Put that together with curiosity, his intelligence, like the love for the game, how much he competes, and then the great person that he is. This is an incredible opportunity for me, selfishly, and for our organization to have a partnership that's really about building and going forward. I think to the process point a little bit, we identified early, we looked at all the candidates when we had the opportunity and discussed what do we want to get out of this. And we want to build. This isn't about rebuilding. We'll get into that. This is about building. This is about being better than we were yesterday, getting better every single day. Taylor will touch on that. We want to build something special. We want to build an identity and a culture and get back to the sustained success that we've all known for near a decade here.
Sustained
success.
This
is the person to do it.
We've known for a decade.
With that, it's my honor.
Sustained success. This has been a successful organization for a long time. Blah, 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 blah. Culture. Giannis wasn't talked about a whole lot today. I think he's gone. I think he's out of here. This press conference presents very different, and these comments from all parties involved present very differently. If they're trying to cater to Giannis, excuse me, I had a slice of pizza over the break. They're trying to cater to Giannis. If they're trying to pay lip service to Giannis. Instead, you're hearing an owner and a general manager and a coach all reference the sustained success that this organization has known going back, over a decade or so. It's like, yeah, guys, and why? Why do you suppose that success is taking place? Instead, they could have said, look, Giannis has led this organization. We've won a lot of games with Giannis for a long time. It's clear the impact that he's had on this city and the success of our team, and Giannis has been a big part. Nope. It's also clear that they went out of their way to talk about how, no, Giannis was not a part of the search. We like Taylor Jenkins. We're excited with what he can build. We're excited to see the culture that he instills. They move past any mentions or questions about Giannis. Nope, he wasn't involved. Now we're going to talk more about Taylor Jenkins. Nope, Giannis wasn't involved. Now we're going to talk more about the future. He's gone. 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 I also think there's so much noise in the last 24, 48 hours about the Celtics and about Jaylen Brown being unhappy there. I do wonder if that's a destination. I think this playoffs is off to a good start. We'll talk about this with Ty Windisch next. I think the playoffs are off to a really good start if the Bucks want there to be a robust Giannis market. I think the Magic would be interested. I think the Celtics would be interested. I think they've been interested for a while. The Cavs and or the Pistons, whichever one of those teams comes up short in this round, I think could be interested. The Spurs, if they get, cut down in 4 or 5 games by the Wolves, which I don't expect, but if we come away from that Spurs series thinking, the Spurs aren't even close, they could be interested. The NBA postseason and first and second round exits humble a team very quickly. These early exits humble teams to think, we don't need Giannis. We're building with our guys. We're building our way. Oh, what's that? Crap. We lost to the Sixers. Oh, we lost to the 8th seed. The Magic. We blew a 3 on Lena. Maybe we do need Giannis. I think these postseason series so far are going the way that the Bucks would want them to go if they are getting prepared to trade Giannis, and I think they are. That's the tone. That's the tenor that I got from John Horst, Jimmy Haslam, and Taylor Jenkins today. Let's take some calls. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
It's Darnell.
Hey, Darnell. What's going on?
Hey, I think Haslam kind of laid it out there. If he doesn't sign a max extension, he's gone, right? I think that's the way they're looking at it. And he has the opportunity to stick around if he wants to. The extension's there. And if he says no, then no, we're not doing this will he, won't he stuff for the next year. We're just not. And I think that's fair. I think on both sides, it's like, Giannis, you put your money where your mouth is and then you get money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we're shipping you out to the highest bidder. And I think both sides are correct in that assessment. Would you agree? I think they've given Giannis ample time and I guess just time to say, hey, this is what I want to do. And he hasn't really gone one way or another besides, well, I've always been devoted to this team. Yeah, we know. I love the city of Milwaukee. Yes, we know.
Yep.
But you're not saying I'm not leaving, right? Until after the season's done. It's like, well, I'll be here at least until next year. It's like, well, okay, that doesn't help. So I think they're kind of at the point where we need to do something. We either need to know you're part of our future, or know you're not part of our future. And I appreciate that as a fan. I really do. I'm fully on board. It's gonna. By the way, if he ends up as a Celtic, that's gonna suck. That's not gonna feel good for me.
Here's the thing: a year ago or two, Darnell, I hate to run you here, but we got a couple callers, and I want to get to them all before we break and get to Ty Windisch. I don't think Giannis has it anymore. I could be wrong. And he could go to another team and win 2 or 3 titles, and I sound like an idiot. But my opinion at this time, today's show, May 6th, 2026, I don't think he has it anymore. And I don't think he's going to go to another team and adjust his play style to cater to something that exists. And I think he's beat up. I don't know that he's an Achilles injury waiting to happen, but I think 3 or 4 soft tissue injuries in a year and a half, that stuff's all real to me. So I'm almost to the point where it's I think he's spent, and it's almost funnier to me if he's now going to be spent on the Celtics and they go all in on Giannis and it doesn't work. That's almost even funnier to me. And maybe that's dark humor. Maybe that's bad. That's just my perspective. Seeing him in a Celtics jersey would suck because I hate the Celtics, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. So if the Celtics want to ship the Bucks Jaylen Brown, and that's everywhere over the last 48 hours, I don't really want Jaylen Brown. I'd just rather have a bunch of picks, and I'd rather have the Bucks suck. But Jaylen Brown is he wants his own team. I think socially he also fits in Milwaukee. I think it might work. I think he's a little weird, and I hated the fact that he blows a 3-1 lead and then live streams, but that's just the NBA. All these guys are just, at certain times, they're just insufferable. I'd take Jaylen Brown, or I'd send Jaylen Brown for picks. I'd do it with Boston. I'd try to squeeze every ounce of value out of the trade that I could. I think Giannis is spent. So go be spent on the Celtics. Go continue to be a part of their failed mission to shoot 1 million threes and to win a title. Go hog the ball over there, because I don't think you can adjust your play style. That's my 2 cents. That's how I feel. You don't have to agree. 2 more calls here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Tony from Texas, spot on about that. Jaylen Brown, though, that guy's never happy. But here's the question I got for you. Would you trust your mom with your fantasy football draft, or Giannis picking a coach? Because this guy, I mean, come on.
I would trust my mother to auto draft a fantasy football team before I trust
Giannis. Exactly. So, I mean, Giannis, the guy grew up in Greece, great guy, self-made, hit the genetic lottery, came over to the United States, rescued the Bucks from, I mean, they could be in Vegas right now or Seattle.
Yeah.
So they rescued the Bucks franchise. You know, what's his name? Lazary made his millions and billions, actually, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Edens, all these dudes, they made their money. They used Giannis for what he is, and now they're going to trade him because, like you said, he's beaten up. He's not as good. Maybe they could sell some more jerseys, but you know what? Giannis isn't the same sell or the same draw he used to be. This isn't the Chick-fil-A Giannis anymore, Giannis. You know, Grant, it's not all cute and fun anymore. It's just old. It's stale. It's not your cute girlfriend from high school. No, it's that old maid going through menopause. It's not fun anymore. It's cranky. It's just not good, Grant. Do you want to comment on that?
Sure, I can. It's Favre-like. Tony in Texas, I appreciate it. Giannis is, character-wise, I think a much better human than Favre. You can feel about Favre however you want. But when I say Giannis is Favre-like, I think Favre was a diva and selfish and a little bit of an egomaniac in a bit of a malicious way at times. I don't think that about Giannis. I think Giannis has turned into just another NBA superstar. And it's played out. And I think the team thinks it's played out. I think the team's done with it. I think they're done with it. It's like you want to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I think the team, this would just be my guess. It's not sourced. It would just be my guess that the team last year got sick and tired of Giannis agreeing to come back and play last year and then waxing and waning and bitching and moaning and having 1 foot in and 1 foot out all year. I think the Bucks internally feel like this last year was completely and totally porked and dead on arrival because of the way that Giannis handled it. And if I ran the team and that's how I saw it, I would be ready to trade Giannis too. So I get it. 1 more call here, then we're going to break and get to Ty Windisch. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Ridge Runner Mark, how we doing, sir?
Good evening, Ridge Runner. Can we do this in about a minute? I'm a little behind. Sorry.
I got you quick. So my perspective on that press conference was more so that the Bucks are going to Giannis and saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing to build the team up, to put a foundation down of a good team."
Yes.
Want to be okay too.
Yep.
They didn't have to mention him. They were basically saying, "This is our plan." And the plan doesn't necessarily build around you so much as we want to utilize you because we still think you're a good player, but we're not going to cater to everything. This is our plan. This is how we're changing things up because last year sucked. I agree to your point that his mental state and his injuries didn't help the season at all, but they're like, this is our plan.
Yep.
And you can do it, and you can be with us, or we're going to move on. And I agree with you on the injury challenge. I think he's still a good player, but if he's going to constantly be hurt, that affects his talent level because he's not.
And I think he's difficult to play around as well, Ridge Runner. I don't know if I lost you. That's a perfect call. Thanks for being efficient there. He's hurt a lot. It's a lot of soft tissue stuff. And he's difficult to build around. He's tough to build around. And I don't know that, well, when Giannis is traded to a new team, he'll fit in there. I don't know, man. He seems to like handling the ball. He seems to like getting picks set for him instead of the other way around. And I don't know that that's just going to change. That's not really how these NBA guys operate. Ty Windisch going to join us next to talk Bucks. Sorry, I'm a little behind. Got to go.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Why not make the call for Giannis if you're Boston? He wants out. He doesn't want to be in Milwaukee. Why not make the call and add a guy? You talk about all the spacing that Boston has with their offense. Can you imagine Giannis operating with all that space on the floor? To me, that would have a lot of appeal if I'm the Celtics. It would have a lot of appeal if I'm Giannis as well to play next to Jason Tatum in this Joe Mazzulla offense. Is it realistic? I mean, look, Atlanta would want Jaylen Brown, would have to want Jaylen Brown. Milwaukee would want to have picks. Maybe it ends up that the Bucks will want Brown instead, or maybe the Bucks don't want to trade Giannis after all. Who knows? But I'd make the call if I'm Brad Stevens and look for an upgrade. That's one of the few upgrades over Jaylen.
That's Kevin O'Connor, NBC Sports Boston. Just a nice 40-second clip kicking around the idea of, well, what about the Celtics and Giannis? Not saying I agree or disagree, it just gets us into our segment. All of our guests on the Bill Michaels Show join us on the Schneider Orange Hotline. Whether you've been working in transportation for decades and you're looking for a new home, Schneider can be that new home, or maybe you're looking to get your start. Well, they can help you get your start, whether it's training, schooling, any certification that you need. Go to schneiderjobs.com, or you can give them a call, 844-PRIDE. They've been with the Bill Michaels Show a long time now. I believe over 90 years they've been getting it done. You work hard, they'll treat you right. That's Schneider. And like I said, all of our guests join us on the Schneider Big Orange Hotline. Let's go to the hotline. Ty Windisch joining us, the Eurostep podcast. Ty, how did that clip hit you? Celtics, Giannis, just your first reaction to that general idea?
Yeah, I love that it's two-party consent for a team to trade for Giannis. It's, does Giannis want it and does the other team want it? And I guess the Bucks part of it is mostly immaterial. Is the crazy thing is I heard, from not like a source, but from someone who has sources. Like I heard there was a little bit of the deadline of Boston kind of being like, we'll sniff around Giannis a little bit. Nothing that, obviously I wouldn't report it for real. It was just something that was slightly out there, I think. But I had the same question then I do now, right? At the time, I was like, well, would it be Tatum for Giannis, and then, healthy Giannis and healthy Jalen. And obviously then Tatum comes back in like a week or two or whatever after the deadline, and that kind of wouldn't have made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think obviously it would be Jalen either going somewhere or stuff. And I don't think that would really make sense for Milwaukee. And my issue with this is the same one I had with the Timberwolves thing of like, okay, we could send Jaden McDaniels somewhere. And I bet the Timberwolves right now are happy that they held on to Jaden McDaniels, but we could send him somewhere. And then that team will send all this stuff for Giannis. Like, why does a Team X out there, we'll give you the Giannis package for Jaylen Brown? Why wouldn't you just get Giannis if you have the Giannis package? So I don't think it really makes that much sense, and I don't think it would happen. But certainly I think it would help Boston quite a bit, who they can't really get to the rim, and that is the number one Giannis thing.
So Milwaukee's consent and interest in all this, it's more interesting if that's immaterial. So continue to let that be.
Yeah, right. Who cares?
Set that to the side for at least one more question and answer here. But let's just say the Bucks were to trade Giannis this summer. You want the most robust market with lots of suitors. I think if that does turn out to be the case, this postseason has played out the way you'd want so far. You have teams with high expectations or high opinions of themselves that thought they would be there on a championship doorstep, who are coming up short. Boston certainly won. I know Orlando was an 8 seed, but I don't think they were happy with the 8 seed, and now even less happy that they almost beat the 1 and then blew it. So Orlando's a team like, well, maybe we should be interested. If the Pistons go down and they need offense and they're lacking power, I just think if Giannis and the Bucks decide to trade his best this summer, the postseason is proceeding very well to create the best possible market for Giannis, right?
Yeah, I would raise you the Raptors, who have all of their picks, and like we're kind of right there with the Cavs. And I think they're looking at this like, okay, Barnes and Barrett is really something here, and Jacoby Walter, maybe we're a little better without Ingram, and that's a big salary matching piece. Like maybe there's something we could do there. I mean, this one is just funny to me. Masai Ujiri has wanted Giannis forever, and we just got hired by the Mavericks. And they only have the stuff if either they like win the lottery, which certainly could happen again, or if they wouldn't really trade Cooper Flag, right? But how funny would it be if Dallas fans are literally asking him, Masai, like, oh man, that trade really gutted us when we traded our young franchise for an old guy. You wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
But Masai's like, wait, I could just get Giannis right now. I've always wanted him. And then the Spurs are down. They just lost their home court. I don't think they would still do it. But the recipe would be like, wow, Fox really disappointed us. Wow, Dylan Harper's ready to go. Fox makes a ton of money. We have all the draft picks in the world. What if we just turn Fox and a bunch of stuff into Giannis? And stuff like that, right? Thunder, of course, have a huge haul. I just don't think that I think they're too good. But, who knows? We'll see what happens in their future playoffs as well.
The Spurs are an interesting case. I only think if they lose handedly. Like if they lose a long war of a series to the Wolves, they're still young. But if they get blasted and it's like, man, you're not even close. And it's nice that you have this young core, but that's not going to cut the mustard in the West. The Spurs could be an interesting team too. Plus, I think Spurs and Giannis just feels like a natural fit.
Yeah, I think they're just so future focused is why I really haven't talked much about them. Rockets are another one we should mention. Rockets lose in the first round. Like, they have a ton of assets. They have some really good young players. They're worth mentioning. The Spurs thing for me, I think it almost has to be too like Fox keeps not really looking good because that big extension. So then maybe they're like, that's our oldest guy anyway, oldest core guy, Harrison Barnes or whatever. But like, okay, we'll give up the picks. We'll get him. We have all these young players already. Like, let's go win the title next year with Giannis and Wembanyama and just be ridiculous. And, Giannis won't be as good as long as Wemby, we think, but whatever. We'll figure that out. Fox wasn't going to be either.
Ty Windisch is here, the Eurostep podcast. Okay, well, let's actually talk about whether or not Giannis could be available. They're introducing Taylor Jenkins this week. Let's just start with the coach. How much impact do you think a new coach will have on the Giannis situation?
A huge impact. I don't think that this was a situation, kind of like whatever reports we've heard about the past where Giannis really had his finger on, clicking the mouse on selecting which coach. Like, I think everything that I understand right now is the Bucks just picked their coach and really put on a full court press for Taylor Jenkins, ownership flying around. And we got the reporting from Sam Amick at The Athletic, gave him a big bag too, probably top 5 in the NBA right now, which, hey, top candidate on the market. I think it makes sense. And, I had a lot of people ask me, like general NBA people, not Wisconsin focused, of like Wisco focused, of like, why would Taylor Jenkins not wait for, Orlando, or was Detroit going to come up when that series? Like, that's what the money is for, right? Like, that's some of what the money is for too. But even if Giannis didn't pick this coach, Taylor Jenkins, I think clearly they have some rapport. Jenkins was there when Giannis won MVP right before the bubble, I think was his last season in Milwaukee before he went to Memphis. And I think this is just a much better, modern NBA head coach who can build up a new scheme and system for the Bucks that can get them winning. And that's been the core of this the whole time. There's never been a moment where Giannis is like, oh, I'm sick of Milwaukee. I'm sick of this guy, that guy. He's sick of losing. He's been very clear about that. So as frustrating as some of this twists and turns and stories have been, that through line has been there. None of this is happening if the Bucks are like, oh, we won 50 games and we made a real shot at it in the playoffs. The issue is they stunk last year. And I think Taylor Jenkins is a great step forward to not stinking next year, and a guy who has a good reputation of both building teams from scratch and working with like double bigs. So I think that could bode well for Giannis and Turner if both are still in Milwaukee next year.
I also don't think it's a huge bar to raise after Doc Rivers. Like, oh, so it's a professional coach who's built systems, offense, defense before. Like, when people ask, what do you think about the Jenkins hire? It's not Doc. Like, it's going to get better. I don't know that he's the best coach in the world, but it might feel that way coming off of Doc Rivers. I'm not trying to kick Doc, after he's out of Milwaukee. But I just don't think it's going to take a lot. What's your biggest concern with the roster? Where do you look at this roster and say, man, I just don't know how they fix that, or I don't know how they get better here. I don't know how they deal with this. What's your biggest roster concern?
I think it's got to still be the wing positions. I think this has been ongoing for them. And I'll give credit to Kyle Kuzma, who's now going to be on an expiring deal. And obviously everyone and every Bucks fan and their brother and sister are putting Kuzma, Portis, and 2 future firsts in the trade machine to bring back every player in the league at this point. But Kuzma, I thought, probably did the best out of any player on the roster. I'm not counting Giannis as this, but like a two-way wing player who can defend, shoot, and get to the basket, which is really, I think, probably the most important currency in the playoffs. You watch these series, what are you seeing? Like Anthony Edwards goes down. We have Jaden McDaniels and now Terrence Shannon, who are like these athletic, aggressive wings who can do a little bit of everything. And I think the Bucks just have a lot of guys who are, limited in some aspect or another, or like specialist in one. Like they tried AJ Green at the 3. Defensively not going to be there with the size and the athleticism. Like obviously you can shoot the cover off the ball. And then you have like the polar opposite of like, Kuzma started to hit the 3s, but obviously not known as a great shooter. Someone like Andre Jackson Jr., who's just like, the whole offense is a question mark, frankly. And then Ousmane Dieng really came on. He's going to be a restricted free agent this year, but, really didn't attack the basket a lot and kind of over-relied on his jumper and like a good defender, but not really physical and aggressive in the way like the Wolves are, or even some guys on the Spurs or other teams. I think that's what they need to find, is that true modern aggressive wing. Problem is that's the most sought after player type in the league, the most expensive and the hardest to shake loose from another team. So for me, it's that. You get at least one of those guys and then we could really be cooking here.
The Bucks.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, going to be a quick segment here because we got to get to Jesse Temple to wrap up the show, his Wednesday appearance from Badger Connect. Some reaction to the last half hour. Comments from Jimmy Haslam, from John Horst, from Taylor Jenkins, who was introduced today, and Ty Windisch, that's Spot with Ty. A couple of texts here, 608-321-1670. Jim in Cottage Grove says, you were dead on about Giannis. Well, thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. J. Krebs says, they can't trade Giannis. If they trade him, they are basically firing themselves because they will all get fired within a few years if they do so. Man, I think it's the opposite. Contending teams fire coaches all the time. Joe Mazzulla is probably about to win Coach of the Year. He might get canned. I would bet against it, but a lot of people feel as though he should. Will Hardy's just hanging out in Utah, sucking balls again. I think if they trade away Giannis, Horst has a ton of job security. So does Taylor Jenkins. I think it's the opposite, actually. Todd and Holman says, I've always been a staunch Giannis supporter. Unfortunately, it's just time to try to build a new team. It's impossible to pay Giannis what he deserves and also be able to bring in other talent that we would need to win another chip. We need young players not eligible for max contracts. For instance, OKC won't be the same in 3 to 4 years. It's just the normal cycle of the NBA and the NFL. Absolutely. And I think you're seeing the Celtics go through it. You watch the Celtics, you're like, oh, they're old and slow. Eesh, when did that happen? Or the Nuggets. It happens pretty quick. Could the Bucks have done a little bit better here and there? Sure, but the same with the Nuggets. They didn't have to pay Christian Brown that contract. The Celtics traded away guys to shed payroll. I think every team is complicit in their own demise a little bit, but that's the natural life cycle of a team. Absolutely. Big Ron in Jersey says, I'm done with Giannis. Bucks will never win another chip with him. So salvage what you can. I think so. Johnny Cribbage says, is Giannis's value cratering or still high? Well, I don't think it's as high as it was a year or two ago. But don't you notice that hasn't stopped anyone from saying the Celtics should trade for him? I think 2 months ago, we don't need Giannis. We're the Pistons. We're the 1 seed. We don't need Giannis. We're the Celtics. We're the 2 seed. Well, now the Celtics have lost and the Pistons look like, we'll see what happens there. The Magic look like they need to do something. They're in disarray. It's amazing. A couple teams bounce out in the playoffs early. It's, now there's a market for Giannis. So I don't know that his value as an individual player is as high as it was 2 years ago. But I think the market could be strong because I think there's a couple teams this postseason that are going to come up short and say, I think we need to do something. A couple of desperate mark type teams. We're going to break early. Like I said, get to Jesse Temple next to wrap up the show.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to Bill Michaels Show. The first hour flying by because we keep going back to the Schneider Orange Hotline for some great guests. Ty Windisch, the Eurostep podcast, joins to talk a little basketball. SchneiderJobs.com, that's the place to start if you're looking to change from one career in transportation or logistics to another. Schneider would be an awesome home for you to continue your career, or you want to just get started. You want to begin your career in transportation, logistics, trucking. They can help you get started with whatever schooling or certification that you might need. SchneiderJobs.com. You work hard, they treat you right. 90 plus years they've been getting it done. 844 Pride, or like I said, go to SchneiderJobs.com. Let's go back to the Schneider Orange hotline. Jesse Temple is here, Badger Connect. Now, Jesse, I was just reading your wrap-up at Badger Connect on 15, I believe, spring practices. Is this the optimistic spin? Is this how you would frame it? This is how I would convince myself. The Phil Longo start was an issue. That was a disaster. Jeff Grimes was the right guy. He got into place last year, but now they have the players. Now they have the investment. Now they have the quarterback. Year 4, is this when it all comes together? Would that kind of be the optimistic way of viewing this thing?
I would say that is the most optimistic version of things.
Okay.
And that's fair. In spring ball, hope springs eternal. I say that every year, and then you get to decide during the season whether that hope was worthwhile or not. I do think we had a chance to watch the team's last scrimmage, the closest thing that they had to a scrimmage. And the offense is the best they've looked in that setting under Luke Fickell. Totally understand the bar has been low in that regard. But I think you can see why Colton Joseph can be a difference maker for them offensively. I certainly do wonder what it's going to look like when he's on the run, how many times they want to have him on the move and take some carries, given how physical the Big Ten is. But they've got some talent at these different positions. I'm just not ready to proclaim that this offense is going to be scary to other teams and that they're going to go 8-4. I do think there are a lot of really nice pieces defensively. And if quarterback can stay healthy, people are crossing their fingers as they're listening to it. I'd really like to see what Wisconsin football looks like for a season if that guy can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's been such a big part of their issue. They've had lots of issues with talent and coaching, but I mean, it's really hard to tell the story of Badger football under Luke Fickell without the quarterback injuries. Is that something to your knowledge that they've talked about behind closed doors? I know injuries are partly luck, but that has to be something that they've spent time on talking about. It's like, how can we best protect our quarterback? How can we best position him to stay healthy throughout that has to be something they've at least spent a little time on. They'd be crazy not to after the last couple of years, right?
I think when they were looking at the transfer portal, they had to really take a hard evaluation at what type of player do we want to bring in. We want someone who doesn't have an injury history. We want someone who we believe is sturdy and can hold up. If you retroactively grading things, I don't know that you could say Billy Edwards Jr. and Tyler Van Dyke had been healthy in their careers. And so, but I'd also say some of this stuff is a fluke. Tanner Mordecai, who's been their best quarterback so far, because we haven't seen Colton Joseph in a game, he broke his hand while throwing a pass on an Iowa player's helmet. I mean, you can't do anything about that. Tyler Van Dyke tore his ACL while scrambling on the first series against Alabama. You could say, oh, well, the guy hadn't been healthy before. But I also don't know that you can prepare for him getting his knee shredded while trying to get extra yards against Alabama. And the Billy Edwards Jr. one is just so unfortunate. Only played 34 snaps last season. But I would say when they looked at the portal, it was like, can we get a guy that we believe can hold up? And if you just look at Colton Joseph, I don't know that I've seen a quarterback as physically gifted as he is. Just in terms of what his body looks like, you don't see quarterbacks who are shredded like him all the time. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He's stout. He is sturdy. He is he is ripped. He is shredded even.
All those things.
Welcome into the Bill Michaels Show. We're breaking down Colton Joseph's body. But it is important. If you're going to have someone out on the run and that's a part of your offense, that the quarterback can't be a twig.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying he's going to have the most amazing season this year, but I know since you asked that question, Grant, that was part of the calculus. If you're going to go get a portal quarterback, how can you try and find someone who's going to hold up?
No, absolutely. Jesse Temple is here. Badger Connect. Subscribe to his work, and he's on the camp with Zach Heilprin, our sports director as well, who will join us later on in the show. You mentioned pieces on defense. We all know Cooper Catalano and Mason Posta. Those are the two young linebackers. What are some other names? Because even if this offense improves, I think this is probably going to be spiritually, right, culturally, a defensive-led team. It certainly was last year. Maybe tell us about some of the other names that we should be aware of coming out of spring ball.
I'll start in the secondary because I think Wisconsin did a really nice job through the transfer portal of adding guys who can be impact players right now.
Good.
They went and got two guys at corner and at safety. Javen Robinson, who was a 2-year starter at Arizona State, and then Marvin Burks Jr., who was a 2-year starter as a safety at Missouri, that you can just plug in immediately and say, you got 1 year left, go do your thing. We don't have to worry about you. You still have Matt Young at safety, but they got 4 transfer cornerbacks, all of whom have some talent. I'd say Jameer Scott is a name to keep in mind because he's one of just 2 returning cornerbacks, but he's made as big of a leap as maybe any returning player on the roster. But I'd also say that all of this stuff is going to start up front because if you can't create pressure and make it tough on quarterbacks, then they can just stand back there and dice you up. So yes, Posa and Catalano are the guys that are really going to make this defense go. But there's two other players in that position room that I think you're going to see a lot. John Kamara is a Kansas transfer, and then Tommy Heiberger, who started 3 games a year ago. Ultimately, though, I think it comes down to the defensive line. They went to the portal. Do they have enough bodies, and do they have consistency up there to try and stop the run the way they did last year when they were 15th in the country in run defense? To me, that's as big a question as any right now.
Do you think if Luke Fickell finally has a healthy quarterback and an offense that's not, a disaster, and Jeff Grimes has his arms around the thing, that frees him up to take a little bit of a deep breath and coach the defense, which is probably something he's just like, can I just coach defense? Can I just, be around the linebackers? Can I coach my side of the ball? Do you think that's, an area where maybe he could have a little bit more of an impact as a coach in a way that maybe was difficult for him in the last couple of seasons?
No, because I don't think this changes anything for Luke Fickell. When you're a coach, you delegate authority to your coordinators. He doesn't have anything to do with the offense, and defensively, obviously, he has familiarity with it because he was a D lineman, a nose guard at Ohio State. But that's why you have Mike Tressel in place. I think it would help the team in general to have a functional offense. How's that for the most obvious statement of all time?
Yeah.
Because now you've got a chance to try some things. The defense played last season thinking that if they gave up a touchdown, they were screwed. What kind of football team can succeed when you approach it that way? And that's really what it was, because they had one of the worst streaks. So if they can take a step up there, and plus with the schedule they face, they're going to be in a much better spot.
So I know you ran a mailbag at Badger Connect about spring football, which we've discussed, Badger basketball and what they've done. We discussed that last week. But hockey came up, a couple goals short of a national championship, and they've had to reshape their roster a little bit as well. Can you tell us, maybe even without getting bogged down in the nerdy hockey, maybe not even with all the names, can you just give us a general idea of how that program has handled the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'm actually glad you asked this, because I filmed the Badger Bites with Todd Connaught, who's the associate coach, head coach for the men's hockey program yesterday. That's going to run later in the month. And we went to the film room and we looked at the portal guys they added and the incoming freshman class that they have. And this has been called one of the better transfer portal classes in college hockey. It certainly helps when you go to the national championship game. They were able to add a really talented forward from Penn State. They added a goaltender. They added defense, and they've got really good players coming in. So they made the national championship game. Mike Hastings said that he wants that to be the standard. That's easier said than done, but this is a really good starting point, and I think they've got the talent to be able to make it back there again.
It's an easy pitch, right? Hey, we were a couple goals away. Come in and help us be the difference to get over the top, right? Like of all of the pitches and all the places that college coaches find themselves in 2026 trying to convince players to join their program, that's got to be about the best spot to be. It's either, hey, come help us win another, or come help us, get over the top.
Absolutely, because football's in the exact opposite spot.
Yeah.
If you have to go out and convince these guys why they should be a part of it, and certainly getting out the paycheck helps, but when you're just coming off a national championship game appearance and you're on the rise under Mike Hastings, much easier to be like, hey, you want to be a part of this? Could be pretty awesome. And people say, absolutely.
All right. So that's Jesse Temple. We wrapped up, for another 30 seconds or so. You can find his work at Badger Connect and watch and listen to him with Zach on the camp as well. I think they have a new episode out either today or yesterday. I feel like normally Tuesdays might be their day. But we'll pick this up tomorrow. I want to circle back a little bit to Brandon Sproat. We're also going to get Jim Ozarski on tomorrow. He was at the presser for the introduction of Taylor Jenkins. We'll have him on the show tomorrow just to kind of pick his brain, the general vibe that he got. My sense is the Bucks are ready to move on. More based on what they didn't say. They could have really put more of a full court press on today about, we have Giannis in mind, and Giannis is a big part of this, and they just really didn't. And I feel as though that's pretty instructive. All right. Enjoy the night tonight. No Brewers game. Just watch some playoff hockey, some playoff basketball. No Sixers, and now Mitchell Robinson is out with an illness. Why is everyone sick? I didn't even know he was sick. All right, we'll pick this up tomorrow, Ford. Thanks for listening.